Good morning, students.
Good morning.
So, students, should we start? Only 12 students are there. Okay, so students, in the meantime, others are joining. Do you have any question or query? And Devanshi, Nehal, are you ready for your with your presentations in the next week?
Sir, it's on 19th.
हाँ, I think 19th को तुम्हारे दो होते हैं ना hours.
Yes, sir, Tuesday.
हाँ. So students, be prepared accordingly. तो उस दिन 6 बच्चों का हो सकता है, right? So first six students should be ready. Okay. Again, I am repeating. First six students should be ready on Tuesday.
सर,
Yes, Nehal.
हमारे टॉपिक्स में वंशिका भी ऐड है.
हाँ.
ओके सर.
सर पर टॉपिक नहीं है.
किसके पास टॉपिक नहीं है?
सर बच्चे का.
अच्छा. So I think नेहल और देवांशी तुम कर लो, वंशिका को मैं लास्ट में कोई और टॉपिक दे दूंगा.
ओके सर.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, yesterday we received a mail regarding to the opening of college.
Hmm.
Sir, is it compulsory
I don't know.
or is it fake, sir?
No, because there is no information from the university, so we don't know anything. Okay. So until and unless we get something from the university, we cannot say anything. Right? I think you got this message that it is opening on
18th.
18th.
18th. So senior students, third semester onward from 18th October, right? But I don't know. Let's wait for 2 3 days. We'll get to know. But they should have given some more time, because if it is compulsory, then there are a lot of students who are staying in different states. So it would be difficult for them to reach here in just 1 or 2 days, and after 1 week they'll have to again go back for the Diwali, right? So I don't know, but
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. our मतलब मेरा काम पढ़ाने का है, so I'll just do that. Okay. So we have been talking about immunology. So we started with antibodies, antigen, then we talked about complement system, MHC molecule, antigen processing, presentation, right? And then we talked about, so this was the good aspect of immunology. Then we talked about the problems which can arise because of the immune system. So we talked about hypersensitivity reactions, we talked about autoimmunity. Okay. Now today we are going to talk about very interesting thing, and that you can say is kind of application, right, of understanding the immune system. So if you have a good knowledge of immune system, you can develop vaccines. And students, we have just recently gone through this COVID wave, and now we understand the importance of vaccines, right? I'm sure you all have seen this very closely now, right? Jab ye when this disease came, the first thing was to have diagnostic kits. Are you understanding that? Matlab, there is a new disease, and we don't know how to diagnose it. We don't have any diagnostic kit, right? So the scientists, they started working on it, and students, this is the importance of studying subjects like immunology, like virology, microbiology, because they will help in development of such things. So because you are life science students, you will be choosing your careers, right? So vaccine development और थेरेप्यूटिक्स, जैसे अभी हमने कैंसर तो नहीं पढ़ा, बट वी टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑटो इम्यूनिटी. सो वी नीड सम ड्रग्स, वी नीड इम्यूनोथेरेपी, वी नीड टू develop so many things that we can cure a particular disease, right? So when this COVID came, the first thing was to have diagnostics. So उसमें obviously अगर आपको diagnostic kit बनानी है, then you need to understand the concepts of antigen, antibody and their interaction. Okay, उसी के basis पे तो तुम्हारा rapid antigen test बनेगा, right? You also need to have the understanding of the genome of the virus, because जब वो genome of the virus का information तुम्हारे पास होगा, then you would be able to develop the RT-PCR or PCR for that matter, right? So you need that basic. और एक बार जब diagnostics का थोड़ा सा settlement हुआ, then there was the need for vaccines, ताकि जिन लोगों को नहीं हुआ हम उनको वैक्सीन देके बचा सकें, राइट? एंड you know so vaccines, how they work, what are the major different types of vaccines, we'll talk about that today. Okay, so let me just share the slides related to vaccines. Okay, so are the slides visible?
No, sir.
Ab?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so students, there is a module on vaccines in your syllabus. Okay, so we are going to talk about the whole organism vaccine. So I'll just come to that. What is whole organism vaccine? Okay, so if we talk about vaccines, right? So no, okay, I'm just leaving this very early descriptive period. Okay, okay, so I think we'll start with immunization against smallpox. Okay, so before the vaccines came into existence, there were a lot of Asian countries like China, India, and many other countries. They were practicing a method in which they were taking the dried matter from the pustules uh, of the smallpox patients. Okay, so जो smallpox के patients से उनके pustules बनते थे, right? So they were taking the matter from those pustules, drying it, and then blowing it into the person, blowing into the nose of the person, right? And this method was called as variolation. Okay, right? So this experiment was seen by Lady Mary Wortley Montagu. She was wife of British ambassador, and so she was there in those countries. So she also got her children variolated, right? And then the royal experiment happened, in which two daughters of prince and princess of Wales inoculated, and hence this process of variolation became very popular. But this variolation had some issues. So many of the people who got this variolation, they died. Okay, so the process was there, but many people died because it was not a very scientific thing. So sometime what happened, when it was not properly prepared, right, that would lead to killing of the person, right? So later on, Edward Jenner, uh, you know, he made a observation that the milkmaids who are working with cows having cowpox. Okay, so a person. So those milkmaids, they were not contracting smallpox, and smallpox was a very deadly disease, right? So this observation led to the formation of first vaccine. Now the term vaccine is derived from cowpox. Okay, so cow basically in Latin it means vacca. Okay, so vaccine has come from the term vacca, which means cow. Okay, and so this cowpox का जो पस लेके जो एक वैक्सीन बनाई गई by Edward Jenner, that was providing protection against smallpox. Okay, so this was the observation, and on the basis of this, Edward Jenner developed the first vaccine against smallpox. Okay, so you can see, students, this is a patient of smallpox. You are very lucky because when you were born, so this disease was already eradicated from the earth. Okay, and again, that's a very interesting story how it was eradicated, right? But obviously I'm not going to discuss about that whole process, but again, that is very interesting to vaccinate each and every individual on this earth, right? And then getting rid of this virus which can cause such a deadly disease, right? And you can see the formation of pustules throughout the body, right? And the people who survived, right, they had these scabs throughout their life, right? So, as I said, variolation was done by the Chinese and Indians and many other countries. So they used the dried matter from these pustules, right, from a patient, and then they inserted the dried pustule into the nostrils of a person, right? Now, with this, what happened when those viruses were going inside the nose, right? They were eliciting the mucosal immune system, right, or the mucosal immune response. Okay, and the person was getting protection, right? Then, as I said, Lady Mary Watley Montagu, you know, uh, she saw this process, and then she took this information to England, okay, or the United Kingdom, right? And then second half of 18th century, the whole of the Europe was ravaged by smallpox epidemics, and in rural England it was noticed that women who milked cows were frequently spared clinical smallpox disease, right? उनको नहीं हो रहा, right? So Edward Jenner, as a teenager, he heard a young farm girl telling a doctor that she could not contract smallpox because she once had cowpox. Okay, and cowpox is a very mild disease, right? Because it is basically the diseases of the cow, but if you get infected with it, right, nothing will happen to you because the virus for cowpox, the real host is not humans, and you have no, okay, you don't know, but if the virus is for other host, then it will not cause the disease in other organism. Okay, so after years of experimenting, Edward Jenner carried out a famous experiment on a healthy 8-year-old boy, whose name was James Phipps. Okay. Now just imagine, at that time he was able to do this experiment, which you cannot do today, right? It would be ethically wrong today, right? So he took material from a burst pustule on the arm of Sarah Nellens, right, who had apparently contracted cowpox. तो एक लेडी जिसको काउपॉक्स था उसके पस्ट्यूल्स को लिया मैटर को एंड ही इंजेक्टेड दैट मैटर इनटू जेम्स पिप 8-year healthy boy. Okay, and then he deliberately exposed the boy to virulent variola virus which causes smallpox 2 months later. Okay, and found that the child was protected, showing only a mild inflammation around the site where the variola was injected. Okay, so this was the first experiment with the vaccine, and here, what was done? The whole idea was, see, cowpox virus, smallpox virus, right? They are very similar. Okay, so there is cross reactivity. So when you inject the cowpox virus, antibodies develop against this cowpox virus, right? So now because this and this smallpox are similar, so the antibodies which were prepared for this, so they can also attack the smallpox virus, right? So when the real smallpox virus came, the antibodies were already there to fight it off and remove it from the system. So, here it was the similarity of the two organisms, right? So, this was the basic mechanism of the first vaccine that was developed for smallpox. Okay, so you can see here Edward Jenner inoculating James Phipps. Okay, and during the France and Persian War, there was smallpox epidemic. French army was not vaccinated, and 23,400 died. Right, whereas German army was vaccinated, and only 278 died. So you can see the difference. You can see here how effective the vaccine was, right? And then uh, all the countries started vaccinating their people against smallpox, and later, the last reported case of smallpox was that of Ali Makin. He was the last case seen in Somalia in 1977. Okay, and at that time WHO also, it had started a program for eliminating smallpox, right? And in 1980, so if for 3 years no new case comes, then it is declared that the disease has gone, right? So in 1980, WHO officially declared that the world and its people are free from smallpox. So students, you can just imagine, the disease eradicating from this earth, right? So this was a success story of vaccine, which was followed by another disease, polio. Okay, so I'm sure you know that polio again has been eradicated from no, almost the world except for two countries, right? Polio is still there in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Otherwise, polio has been eradicated from other parts of the world, and that is the only reason that why we are still giving polio vaccines, so that our immune system is ready to fight if some strains, you know, arrive from Pakistan or Afghanistan, right? And you can see here that with vaccines over a period of time there was decline in the number of cases, 1977, the last case was observed, and then in 1980, smallpox was officially eradicated. Okay, although it has been eradicated, but still there are two laboratories in the world where we still keep those viruses. Okay, so last stock of smallpox virus is kept frozen in laboratories, one in USA and the other one in Russia. Okay, but there is a lot of discussion on that. Should we keep it or should we destroy them, right? Because if you are keeping it, then there is always a risk that the terrorist may get access to it and they can cause spread of smallpox again, right? So there are a lot of questions on that. Okay, but this was a success story. So therefore, there is the need to understand vaccines. So these are biological preparations that improve immunity to a particular disease. So basically, these are biological preparations. They have the organism itself in those vaccines. And what they do, they improve the immunity to a particular disease. Right? So basically, we are improving the immunity against an organism. Okay, so it typically contains an agent that resembles a disease causing microorganism. So this was, we have already discussed. It contains an agent that resembles a disease causing microorganism, right? For example, the cowpox and the smallpox. So there was resemblance, right? Often made from weakened or killed form of the microbe, right? So what you can do, if you do not find a similar organism, right? So इस केस में तो there was smallpox and cowpox virus, right? But suppose for like for SARS-CoV-2, we don't have any other similar organism. So what you can do? You can either take the same virus, kill it, and use it as a vaccine, or you weaken it so that it does not cause disease and use it as a vaccine. Okay, apart from that, there are some microbes which produce toxin. Okay, so in that case we can take that toxin, modify it, and use it as a vaccine. For example, the tetanus toxoid. Okay, or we can take some part of the microbe and use it as a vaccine, which is called the subunit vaccine. So these are the four types of vaccine that we usually see, and what it does is it stimulates body's immune system to recognize the agent as foreign, destroy it, and the most important thing is remember it, right? So the concept of memory. So when you're talking about immune system, once our immune system has seen an antigen, it develops a memory, right? So why we are taking the COVID vaccine? So when you are giving the COVID vaccine, our system produces antibodies or antibodies against COVID virus. Okay, and then if the real virus will come, so because our system has memory, it will recognize that I have seen it, and it will immediately go and attack the new organism, right? And kill it before it can cause disease, right? So that is the whole idea of a vaccine. Now, as I said, when we talk about whole organism vaccine, हम पूरे का पूरा organism ले रहे हैं, right? So it could be of two types. One is attenuated and one is inactivated. Okay, attenuated are your live vaccines. Inactivated are your killed vaccines. Okay, now let me just show you some of the examples, like uh, anthrax, cholera, pertussis, plague. So they have these inactivated vaccines, which means you take the cholera bacteria, okay, kill it, and use it as a vaccine. Okay, but for some you have live attenuated vaccines in which you are using the live organism. Okay, again you can see in viruses, hepatitis A, influenza, they have the inactivated vaccines, whereas measles, mumps, they have live attenuated vaccines, right? So others, as I said, you can have toxoids. So, the diphtheria toxin, tetanus toxin. So, we take that toxin, modify it, right? So that the immune system sees the toxin, but these toxins are modified in such a way that they do not cause any disease. Okay, but our immune system sees them and generates an immune response, right? And as I said, you can also have subunit vaccines. So you can take a particular antigen of an organism. Just for example, hepatitis B, so we took the surface antigen, okay, and produced a vaccine. So these are the different types of vaccine. One of them is your attenuated, inactivated. Then we also have DNA vaccines, we have toxoids, and we have subunit vaccines. Okay, so these are the different types of vaccines. So we'll understand all these different types, but today our focus will be on attenuated and the inactivated vaccines. Okay. Okay, first let's talk about attenuated vaccines. So attenuated vaccines, they are also called as weakened form. Okay. Now here the microbes are attenuated, right? Students, just focus on this. If this would be clear, the whole concept would be clear. Okay. So microbes are attenuated, okay, or weakened, which means that they lose their ability to cause significant disease. Okay, so you take a pathogenic microorganism, okay, and attenuate it so that it loses its disease causing so it loses its disease causing ability, right? We are not killing it, okay, but they retain their capacity for growth within a host. Okay, so we are not killing the organism, but we are making it weak so that it does not cause the disease. This point clear? Students,
Yes,
is
sir.
this point clear? So when
Yes.
we say attenuated, it means the organism is live, but it has lost its ability to cause disease. Okay. Okay, so I'm not talking about the history because we have already read about this. Okay, so how attenuation is achieved. It is achieved by growing a pathogenic bacteria or virus for prolonged period under abnormal culture conditions. Okay, so what we are doing, we are taking a pathogen and growing it under abnormal conditions, right? अब उससे क्या होगा? This procedure will select mutants that are better suited to grow in abnormal culture condition. Okay, and therefore they will be less capable of growth in their natural host. Okay, so you take the pathogenic organism, grow it in some abnormal condition, so the organism will get adapted to that new condition. Okay, and now when you put it back into the real host, it will not cause disease, right?
Sir, what are
So
the culture conditions? With extremely high temperature or some extremely
Yuvraj, is there any question?
Sir, I was asking that what is the abnormal culture conditions?
What is the advantage?
No, no, abnormal culture conditions.
Okay, I will come to that. I'll explain that. Just hold on. Okay, but पहले ये समझ आ गई that we are growing it in abnormal culture conditions, right? So we are not giving it the condition in which it likes to grow, right? So let's see this. Okay, so live attenuated vaccines use live organisms. So these are live attenuated vaccines, so they use live organism that has been weakened so that they are avirulent, that is they are unable to cause any disease. Okay, attenuation can occur in several forms. So if you have to attenuate, you can use different mechanisms. One of them is the natural occurring related organism, right? Like in the case of cowpox and smallpox, right? So अगर smallpox का virus humans में डालोगे, so it is not suited for humans, so it will not cause any disease in humans, right? Another is multiple round of growth of virulent organism under condition that weakens the organism, right? So जो हम abnormal growth conditions की बात कर रहे हैं, so in that case it will become weakened, okay? And the third one is genetic manipulation, okay? So you take the pathogen, remove the genes which are responsible for causing disease and use it as a vaccine. Okay, तो basically आपको उसकी disease causing abilities को खत्म करना है. Okay, now let's see some examples, and with this you will understand what is abnormal growth conditions. So there are a lot of examples like the measles vaccines, mumps vaccines, rubella vaccine, chickenpox, polio, yellow fever. In bacteria you have BCG, typhoid. So there are so many examples of live attenuated vaccines. This is a very long list how they have been developed. Okay, I'll just tell you few examples here. Okay, they'll come later. Okay, now let's see an example. The attenuated strain of Mycobacterium bovis, which is called Bacillus calmette-guerin. So BCG is the vaccine for tuberculosis, right? Which is called Bacillus calmette-guerin, which is an attenuated strain of Mycobacterium bovis. Okay, and it was developed by growing Mycobacterium bovis on a medium containing increased concentration of bile. Okay, so this is the abnormal condition where you have increased the concentration of bile, right? So now this Mycobacterium bovis, it got modified, got adapted to grow in increased concentration of bile. And students, just imagine, it took almost 13 years for that strain to adapt to grow with increased bile and has become sufficiently attenuated that it could be used as a vaccine for tuberculosis, right? So it took 13 years. Now just imagine if we use this technology today, तो अभी तक वैक्सीन नहीं आई होती for COVID, right? But at that time, it was so difficult, and this is a problem with attenuation. It can take a lot of time before it adapts to a new environment, right? Another example we can see that poliovirus, which was used in Sabin vaccine, it was attenuated by growth in monkey kidney epithelial cells, right? So where poliovirus likes to grow? In the nerve cells of humans, right? And where we are growing it? In the monkey kidney epithelial cells. So कहाँ humans के nerve cells और कहाँ monkey का kidney cell, right? So this poliovirus, it got adapted to the new environment, the monkey kidney epithelial cells, right? And when it fully got adapted there, we took it and used it as a vaccine in humans. Okay. So the virus population became overgrown with less virulent strains for humans that could grow well in non-nervous kidney tissue but not in the central nervous system, right? So now this poliovirus will go into humans, but it will not attack the these central nervous system, right? Because it has now adapted to the non-nervous kidney tissue and that too of the monkey. Okay, so the virus will go in, elicit an immune response, but it will not cause disease. Okay, similarly, rubella vaccine strain consists of rubella virus that was grown in duck embryo cells, right? And later in human cell lines. So you can again see rubella virus, it will attack humans, right? उसका natural host human है, but we are adapting it to the duck embryo cells. Okay, अब एक बार वो duck embryo cell के लिए adapt हो गया, now you take it and put it in humans, it will elicit an immune response, but it will not cause disease. Okay. Similarly, there are other processes. One of them, the vaccine for influenza, it used a method which is called cold adaptation. Okay. अभी तक हम क्या कर रहे थे, उसका होस्ट चेंज करके देख रहे थे, बट इन्फ्लुएंजा के लिए जो ये वैक्सीन बनाई, दिस वाज वाया कोल्ड अडेप्टेशन, राइट? अब इसमें क्या किया, इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस को कोल्ड कंडीशंस के लिए अडेप्ट करवाया गया. Okay, so now what happens, our respiratory system is divided into two, the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. So now, with this cold adaptation, the virus was able to survive in the upper respiratory tract, okay, but not in the lower respiratory tract. Okay, influenza को अगर disease cause करना है, so it has to get into the lower respiratory tract, right? But if this cold adapted influenza virus gets into the lower respiratory tract, it will die because it will not survive in the temperature of lower respiratory tract. But the upper respiratory tract has a different temperature and it will survive there and keep eliciting the immune response, right? So this was the idea of cold adaptation. So I hope students ये बात समझ आ गई होगी, what is abnormal growth condition. Okay. Then there are reassortment vaccines. As I said, there can be genetic reassortment. Again, influenza के लिए this was used as a strategy. I'll just show you one of the pictures so you can see. This is the wild type, the one which cause disease, and this is a donor virus. Okay, it does not cause disease. So this does not cause disease, this cause disease. Okay, and the antibodies are generated against HA and NA, so they are the surface protein, right? Now if you put this virus, it will cause disease. If you put this virus, it will cause nothing. Okay, this will not even elicit an immune response. So what we do, we put these two viruses in a new medium which can be pig. Okay, and in the pigs, in the same cell, there will be reassortment. Now you can see the resorted strain is now having HA and NA genes, so it will now start expressing HA and NA on the surface. Okay, and it will not cause disease, right? So disease causing genes have been removed. Okay, but the immune response eliciting genes are restored, right? So this can then used as a vaccine. So this is another strategy of attenuation. Okay. Okay, I'll come to this later. Okay, now let's see the advantages of attenuated vaccines. So one of the advantages, it's a live organism, so therefore it will activate all phases of the immune system. Live vaccines will give a better immune response as compared to the killed one. Okay, so it will provide more durable immunity. Boosters are required less often. So in this case, a single injection of vaccine is enough. You don't have to give booster doses. Okay, because it's a live organism. It will go inside your body, it will multiply, and it will keep eliciting the immune response, right? So you don't need to give the vaccine again and again. Okay, it gives quick immunity in majority of diseases. As I said, it activates all phases of the immune system. So it, provides both the humoral and the cell-mediated immune response. Okay. Mm. But there are some disadvantages, like there can be a reversion back to virulence. Okay, if the organism can adapt to a new condition, it can mutate and go back to its virulence form. So that can be a problem with attenuated vaccine. It cannot be given to people who have compromised immune system, right? So you cannot give these vaccines to HIV patients, or patients who are on immunosuppressive drugs, right? Or people with primary immunodeficiency diseases, because जिसका immune system काम नहीं कर रहा, even these attenuated strains can cause disease over there. So this cannot be given to immunocompromised individual, and they are difficult to transport. Okay, because students, they are live, right? And to keep them alive, we have to maintain some temperature range, right? So that becomes very difficult. And now just imagine, इंडिया जैसी कंट्री में जहाँ इतने घंटों घंटों लाइट जाती है आज भी कई जगह पे, जस्ट इमेजिन उस रेफ्रिजरेटर में वैक्सीन पड़ी है और उस एरिया में 10 घंटे लाइट नहीं थी, so the temperature will rise, right? So if the vaccine is kept there, it will become ineffective, it will lose its efficacy, right? So therefore it is difficult to transport and store in developing countries. So this is a problem with attenuated vaccines. Okay, so safety problems, there can be under attenuation, right? Because we don't know the actual mechanism, क्योंकि ये तो natural process हो रहा है, so we don't know the exact mechanism. So there can be chances of under attenuation. There can be reversion back to the virulence form, right? When you are working with live organisms, there can be a problem of contaminating viruses, right? So suppose the cell line on which you were developing this strain, it gets contaminated, right? So that could be a problem. Okay, it is heat labile. So if it's a live organism, if you take it at higher temperature, it will die. Okay, and this cannot be given to immunocompromised or pregnant females. Okay. Okay, so if you see this, if you talk about dose, for live or vaccine, you have to give low dose, right? Whereas for dead vaccine, you have to give a higher dose, because the organism is live, it will go into the body and it will replicate. So you just need to give low dose. And for the dead, you have to keep giving a very high number of organisms so that a better immune response happen. Similarly, number of doses for live, single dose is enough, whereas for dead vaccine, multiple doses are required, right? For example, for hepatitis B, you have to get 3 injections, right? One at the first day, then after 1 month, and then after 6 months, right? Need for adjuvants, no in live, because what are adjuvants? So I'm sure one of you will be talking about adjuvants. So adjuvants are basically added along with the vaccine, right? So they are part of the vaccine formulation, and they improve the effectiveness of the vaccine. Okay, but because we are using a live organism, we don't need adjuvant as such, because it is live, it will go in, it will multiply, it will elicit proper immune response, so not required. But for dead vaccine, yes, adjuvants are required, so that they can elicit the immune response for a longer time, right? Duration of immunity, it will be many years. For dead, it will be less. Antibody response, you will see IgG, whereas with dead, you will get both IgA and IgG response. Cell mediated immune response is good here, right? So you are getting a better immune response in live, right? It's poor. Reversion to virulence, it is possible, so this is a drawback. It's not possible in the dead, so it's an advantage. Okay, as I said, so these are the main points. If we just need to add more, so there will be stimulation of CD4 CD8 in attenuated ones. There will be more cytokine generation, less antigen required, less storage stability. So this is a problem, right? They're not very stable, so you have to put more effort for their storage, right? But inactivated vaccines, they are already dead, right? तो तो उसमें प्रॉब्लम ही क्या है? कुछ भी नहीं है. अब तुम उसको बाहर रखो, अंदर रखो, they are already dead, so they will remain dead. So you don't have to worry about their storage stability, right? Attenuated vaccines are less safer because they can revert back to virulent form. There can be contamination in the viral cultures, right? So they are less safe, okay? And inactivated, because they are killed, so no issues. They are safer, okay? Okay. Okay, so students, I think I'll just stop here. Okay, and in the next class, we'll talk about the killed vaccines. Okay. Okay, so students, let's quickly have your attendance. Adish.
Present, sir.
Atoiba.
Yes, sir.
Ayushi.
Present, sir.
Sam. Devanshi.
Present, sir.
Ishita. Ishita. Okay. Janvi.
Sir.
Present, sir.
Kshitij.
Sita present.
Present, sir.
Manaswini.
Present, sir.
Namrita.
Present, sir.
Nandini. Nehal.
Present, sir.
Rupal. Sahiba.
Present, sir. Sir, I'm having network issues today.
Okay. Sanjana.
Present, sir.
Shakti.
Present.
Shivani.
Present, sir.
Tanvi.
Present, sir.
Tridev.
Present, sir.
Vanshika.
Sir.
Vivek.
Present, sir.
Yukta,
Present, sir.
Yuvraj,
Present, sir.
okay. Okay, students, any question? So, again, so students, like we have been talking about immunology, right? And you can see, you know, almost every topic that we have seen till today, they have been so interesting. If we just talk about antibodies and their applications, monoclonal antibodies, it was such an interesting topic. And then we talked about complement system. Just imagine how interesting it was कि एक प्रोटीन आया, फिर दूसरा प्रोटीन आया, तीसरा प्रोटीन आया, ultimately it is making a pore and killing the pathogen. So interesting. So there are different ways by which complement system can get activated. I think there is a question. Yes, Shakti.
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, like this vaccine, they have already been developed, but when we have to make a new vaccine, how do we come to know that whether we will make it attenuated or inactive form? Like we just do trials, or
No, the question is how do we?
how do we come to know that how whether the vaccine we are making will
No,
make
no.
it attenuated or inactive?
Okay, okay. So there are different ways of preparing attenuated and killed vaccines, right? So, first you will think. So, vaccine development is a whole process, and at this stage, it's not also part of your syllabus. So, I'm not talking about the vaccine development process, right? I've given you an idea how we attenuate, okay? But if you have to kill, that is a more easy process. You just take the bacteria, right? Take the temperature to 80 degrees Celsius and your bacteria will die. It's very easy. So if you have to make an attenuated vaccine, you have to put all those efforts. But if you have to kill a vaccine, kill a pathogen, you can take the temperature high, you can put some chemical and kill the pathogen, or you know you can put it under UV light and the organism will get killed. Okay, so vaccine development is a process. So I'm not going to talk about vaccine development, at this stage. But yes, we deal with that whole process in your masters. Vaccinology is a full course, full subject in masters, right? And there we talk about the details of everything, how to make toxoids, how to make subunit vaccines, how to make attenuated vaccines, how to make killed vaccines. Okay, so I'll talk about the killed vaccines in the next class. Okay, so for till that time, I'll just stop here and end the class now because we are already crossed 3-4 minutes, and the next faculty would be waiting for you. Okay, so students, we'll meet in the next week. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
so
sir.
I'm ending the class now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.